Alright boys, so today we're going to be talking about Klee, okay? Now, we're going to talk about her best teams, you know, her best setup, her best artifacts, what you want to run on her, what team you want to run her on, and all that good stuff, okay? So, we're going to skip her skills, right? She has a bomb skill, 2 charges, her ultimate, a lot of damage. Her passive, you have a 50% chance when doing damage to obtain a spark, and that will just make it so your next charge attack doesn't cost stamina and does 50% increased damage. And when you crit, you restore 2 elemental energy to all your teammates, which is great, right? We're not going to talk about constellations. One is a 5-star. I doubt that anyone has her like maxed out that's watching this, right? But just in case you do, right? On constellation 4, pretty much what you want to do with her, just switch out right before Sparks and Splash ends, so you get that 555% damage off, okay? That's pretty much all there is to it, okay? Now, this side, I actually fully disagree with, okay? Now, they recommend Skyward Atlas as a weapon, which I'll get into why this is bad. Well, it's bad, it's not bad, but it's just, there's just a lot better options for her. And the Map Hammer is also pretty good. It's pretty good, but it's like you run this if you want to run a support set, okay? This is more of a supporting set, I'd say. But we'll get into it in a sec, okay? Now, what artifact sets that we recommend, I actually agree with, right? This one's pretty good, right? This like Wanderer's Trope works really well with her. But I believe that the Crimson Witch, I think the 4-piece is a lot better. Especially in co-op and stuff, and in Abyss, because one, you can pretty much force any, the 4-piece, increases overloaded and burning damage by 40%, increases vaporize and melt damage by 50%, using an elemental skill increases 2-piece set effects by 50% for 10 seconds, max 3 stacks. So you can get a lot of extra pyro damage, right? Because you're increasing this 2-piece, and all she does is pyro damage, right? Like, everything she does is pyro damage. Now, she does use a catalyst, right? Which is why, you know, actually this, like, the Wanderer's Trope is actually good on her, right? It gives you elemental mastery too. But this one is a pretty, like, it's a pretty difficult thing to build. If you build it, you have to have good pyro damage rolled on her. And I also still disagree with the rolls too. We'll get into that too. Now, I recommend the 4-piece Crimson Witch Flames. I believe it does more damage and is more consistent, okay? Because you will always have this, right? On the, let's go back to it, right? On the 4-piece, as using an elemental skill, right? Increases 2% effects by 50% for 10 seconds, max 3 stacks, right? You throw 2 bombs out, that's it. That's 2 stacks already. That's 100% more. That's 30% extra pyro damage, right? Or 45 actually, because, well, no, it's 100. Yeah, no, it's 100%. It's 30% extra pyro damage, okay? On top. So that's really good. That's a lot of damage. Now, I know this gives you 35%, but only for charge attacks. But this one increases your bomb damage, your normal attack damage, and your elemental burst damage. So it's just more damage, like, everywhere. Like, yes, the charge attack is insane. It does a crazy amount of damage, but you don't want to just have her be the charge attack person, right? Also, the elemental mastery is nice, right? But on this one, you still don't want to go attack, power damage, attack, right? You still want to go crit. Which is why I think these books are bad. Let's go to the books. Actually, I have it open here. I recommend this book. This book is a lot better for her. One, it gives you a 32%. This website has it wrong, by the way. It's 8% elemental damage. And they say it's 6 on rank 1. Anyway, so gives an 8% elemental damage bonus every 4 seconds, max 4 stacks. So at 16 seconds when she's in the field, which, you know, I'm gonna assume you don't kill everything within 16 seconds. She's gonna have a 32% elemental damage bonus, right? Which is a lot more than this 12%, right? It's 12%, 32%, a lot better. Now, what it also does is it gives you crit rate, and it gives you actually a hefty amount of crit rate. Now, I'm poor right now, so I can't like refine it. Also, I didn't get to farm this yesterday because I was busy. Now, not refine it, ascend it. When you ascend it and you get it to 70, right? Which I feel like most people watching will actually be able to. Like, most of you probably will go for. It goes up to like 35, I think. Like, it jumps by a pretty hefty amount. Now, 35% crit rate is insane, right? Which is why I believe on her artifacts, let's just talk about her artifacts again. you get the 4-piece witch set bonus, right, which I have not been lucky with, just want to point it out. And then you want to have 1 piece with crit rate, right, just so you can max out her crit rate, pretty much max her out, or like get her pretty high. And then you want crit damage rolls on her other stuff, okay? Let's actually get to 2 plus 16 real quick. Let's see if I can get lucky, even if I have enough. I don't think I have enough. Okay, maybe. Yo, give me a double. Ah, you love to see it. And what I got the HP. You know, that's fine actually. Who cares? This is going away as soon as I get the 5 stars anyway. So it's whatever. So you want crit damage substats on your rolls, and then what you want is attack, crit rate, and then well, I have attack here, but you can either go for pyro damage, or for attack again. I'm not too sure on the difference in damage that they do, because everything you do is pyro damage, right? Like these do pyro damage, this does pyro damage, your ultimate does pyro damage, everything does pyro damage, right? So I'm not sure if attack gives you more because the base skills of it. So if you increase the base skills damage and then have the pyro damage on top of it, right? We'll have to see. But either way, whichever you get, right? Attack or pyro damage is fine, but make sure you have 1 piece of crit damage, especially if you have the 5-star book. Now I know this is unrealistic that you have the 5-star book, because not everyone has a lot of money, okay? Or like wants to spend a lot of money on this game, right? A lot of you are free to play, you just pulled it because you're lucky, which is great, right? Congratulations. But just saying, if you have the book, you want to do this. If you're free to play, right, and you don't feel like spending money on this game, at least get the Battle Pass, because the next best weapon for her is the Battle Pass weapon, the Solar Pearl. Normal attacks, hits, increase elemental skill and elemental burst damage by 20%, right, for 6 seconds. And elemental skill, elemental burst, hit, increase normal attack damage by 20% for 6 seconds as well. And it also gives you crit rate. Okay, so I believe this is a really, really, really good what you call it, skill book for her, or catalyst, right? Now this which is currently on rate up, so you could actually try and pull this 4-star. After damaging an opponent with an elemental skill, the skill has a 40% chance to reset its own CD, right? So if you have max refinement, you'll just be spamming bombs, okay? So I think this is pretty good. Now this is also pretty good because you can kind of like work it together with your like, let's say you get 5 hits and you know, oh, I haven't crit yet, then you can get your charge attack going, and they'll do a lot of damage. But it's a Star Glitter exchange weapon, so this is pretty tough, you know. Now if you want to go support type build, you can go this. Don't recommend it, don't even think about it, okay? I don't even know when I mentioned it. This one is fine too, but it gives you elemental mastery. This is what they recommend, right? I'm not a fan of it, I'm not gonna lie. Now after defeating enemy, attack is increased, right? I'm gonna assume you can maybe like enhance this too, because like Star Glitter, like you'll get a certain amount of the suit like quick enough, right? So if you can like max refinement rank it, fine. This is great, but then it's gonna take long, so this is kind of unrealistic as well. That's gonna be it for the books. So let's just see. Let's just get back to the game, so we can talk about her teams. Now, team-wise, you can either run her as a main DPS or a support DPS, right? By the way, I'm rank 39 after this video. Cool. Anyway, now you can run her as a main DPS or a secondary DPS. I'm running her as a secondary DPS. I believe this is a fantastic team for her, right? I don't want to say best. I'm just saying it's a fantastic team for her, because what you do is you have Razor as your main DPS, and then you just switch out to Klee, right? And you switch out to Klee when you have Venti ult, because you do Venti ult, and then Klee just kills everything, because Klee is so good at doing a lot of damage to a lot of enemies, okay? So you pull all those enemies in, you don't even need gear on your Venti, okay? You pull all those enemies in, and she just kills them all in that black hole, okay? Also, having a secondary DPS, right? Like I have 2 secondary DPS and Razor, right? So the way, like, I just like this team a lot because I'm in Razor, right? Let's say I'm fighting an electric opponent, boom, I switch into Klee. She does great against it because she keeps doing overload. And I have the 4-piece witch set, hypothetically speaking, so she does a lot more damage against it as well. And just in general, if it's like bigger mobs of enemies instead of like single like bigger ones, she's great for it. She just clears it pretty quickly. And then just having like all the elemental, all the elements on your team, right? Having that defensive buff, it's pretty nice, right? Obviously, I'd rather not have that. I'd rather have like the fire one, right? Which there's a different team we'll get to in a second as well. And yeah, For Abyss, I'll probably change this, right, with the 2 teams. Probably, like, cause this is probably gonna be a team, and this is probably gonna be a team, pretty much, right, with like Barbara as a healer on this one. But for the most part, I think this team is great. If you have Venti, you definitely want to run Klee and Venti on the same team, because they're actually just monstrous together, right? If you have Mona and Klee, also monstrous together. But yeah, let's talk about different teams. Now, this team, you could run Klee on here with jungling, okay? And then the rest doesn't matter, right? If you have Venti, you run Venti. If you have Venti, you run Venti, and then you run a healer, okay? If it's Barbara or Chi-Chi, it doesn't matter, okay? Or Jean, or Noelle even, right? Like, just make sure you have a healer, because having a healer is pretty important. This one increases her attack by 25%, right? And it makes you affected by cryo for 40% less time, who cares, right? I mean, you get frozen for less time, which is cool, but still. Now, this is really good, not just because you get to double fire, but because I'm going to assume that most people have at least one constellation in their jungling, right? Which I wailed out and I only have one, so if you don't have one, don't worry, it's fine. But if you do have one, her Gorbas attacks have their pyro resistance reduced by 15% for 6 seconds. So this helps Klee a lot of her damage, right? Like, you throw that into like the Venti ultimate, they're all their pyro resistance is all reduced, and then you kill them with Klee. Or just in general, you're fighting like a bigger monster, like a plant or like a different type of boss. You throw down Gorba, you switch into Klee, Klee does a lot more damage, right? Now, different teams you could pretty much run her on every team, right? If you have Venti, run her with Venti, okay? If you want to make a team where she's main DPS like on this one, that's totally fine. If you have a team where like you already have Diluc, you could run, like, let's say I have Diluc, okay? Let's say Kaya is Diluc, okay? Now, we'll have Diluc, Venti, Klee, jungling. Actually a fine team. You don't need healing at that point, because your team is too good, okay? I believe. But probably still want healing, right? So instead of jungling, right? Like, you don't, the power resistance is fine and all, but you'd probably run Barbara, right, for the healing, or Chi-Chi, right? Be a little more reasonable. So Diluc, Venti, Klee, Barbara, right? Or Diluc, Klee. Let's say you have Diluc, Klee, anyone, alright? And you still beat everything. Really strong. But you can have her as a main DPS, secondary DPS. She works in pretty much every team. If you can squeeze her into your team, right, just make sure that you have a healer and someone else that can DPS. That's all you pretty much need for her, and then the team is fine, right? She, like I said, she actually just fits in every team. So it's hard to say which team is the best for her, right? I really like my team for her. I think it works well. Also, I have 2 little ones, 2 bigger ones, right? I don't have the bigger one. Well, I have a Jean. I could put a Jean in and then just have every size, but it's whatever, right? Doesn't really matter. Now, just saying, like, different teams. This is my future jungling team, by the way. But yeah, you can put her pretty much in every team. If your team right now is like Razor, Barbara, Fischl, and someone else, that someone else is replaced by Klee, you put Klee on there, okay? If your team is Mona something, I don't know, Mona and Klee together is also very insane, so just have those 2 on the team and then just worry about the rest after. You can pretty much put her on every team. She works on every team, but like I said, weapon-wise, if you have that 5-star book, you're using that 5-star book, okay? If you have the Battle Pass weapon, you're using the Battle Pass weapon, right? I would not recommend the books that the site tells you to build. I would also not recommend this necessarily, right? You can run this if you have it, but I think the Crimson Witch of Flames is a lot more consistent damage and a lot more overall damage, right? This is a charged attack build, right? This is just for charge attack. Now, the Gladius finale, right? They want 2 pieces of this, 2 pieces of this. I don't think so. I think that's bait. That's just bait, right? Trust. It's not that good. But yeah. And then for rolls, you want attack, power damage, and crit rate, okay? If you have a crit rate book. If you don't, I guess you could go double attack, because it's gonna be pretty hard for you to reach max crit, right? And you don't want to have 2 slots wasted on crit. So we're gonna go with 1 crit rate, pyro damage, attack. If you have the 5-star book that I have, right? The one that's on rate up right now, the sacrifice one, right? The what is it? This one, the one I'm on right now. This one, the Lost Prayer of Sacred Winds, you can summon for it right now, hypothetically. It is here, okay? I would actually recommend it as two because both these weapons are great and all of these are great. right? Because you know all the sacrificial ones are just really good weapons, but just make it work. I mentioned the other weapons you can use as well, right? You can use these weapons too, right? You can use these weapons too. I'm just not that big of a fan of it on her after having like played with her a lot now, and also this set, like I said, not that big, and you want to run the 4-piece Crimson. You really want to run the 4-piece. It enhances your damage by so much, because you'll always have elemental reactions. Okay, you'll pretty much always have elemental reactions, and you're always using skills, so you'll get that 30%, that 3 times increase in your 2-piece, right? By 50%. You'll increase this by 150%. So it's great. It works really well. You do a lot of damage after using your bomb, right? Boom, boom. 10 seconds to fire, boom, boom. 10, and you have another bomb in 10 seconds. That you always be at max stacks pretty much with her. So like it works so well with her. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. If you have Klee, happy for you. If you watch this and you don't have Klee, respect. Anyway, that's gonna be it from me. Good job.